Okay, now
And
I'm
Ron,
back.
if you're speaking, you're muted out. Yep, there you go.
Okay, yep.
Welcome.
Yeah, I had to go and get somebody the proper PIN number and phone number to get in. She couldn't get in, so that's why I left.
Okay, no problem. And just for any of you on the call, and that's a good point there, if you have any challenges getting onto the call, you can always go to the enrichinggifts.com website, and there's a link there that you can click, and it has also the phone dial-in number if you want to call in, and because you're not able to use the video platform, so to speak. So
Well, we got
that's
to
there,
figure out a way to
and
get to a lot of these Amish people. They don't go to the internet. So how are we going to give them the new
sure.
phone number changes and all that stuff? I thought we did all of that months ago, but they're still having problems.
Well, we'll offline. We'll go ahead and talk about that, Ron, and we'll.
Okay.
I think I have a solution, and I'll share that with you.
Okay.
Yep. Perfect. So let's get the call started. We got some people on the line, and as you know, we want to open up these calls for you listening and or watching, and any calls or questions that you have for Ron. Now is the time to ask, because we have him here. He's a wealth of knowledge, and I learn something each and every week. So I'm just very grateful there. But anyone have a question or a comment? So as you're thinking of that, just unmute yourself. If you're ready, come on out and ask your question. But Ron, I do want to bring something up while they're thinking, and that is related to masks.
Yeah.
So I'll talk about that here.
Yep, I'm definitely going to talk a lot about that tonight, because that's something that I've always been bothered by. Just even watching national television with Fauci and looking at Trump and looking at all the Republicans in the House. I mean, it's just like almost House divided. Democrats, they use it as some kind of a political tool, wearing a mask. If you don't, then, oh, you're for Trump. And if you do, well, then you're part of us. And it's just ridiculous. That is one of the most unsafe things that you can do. That's why when you go to a hospital, you ever see nurses walking around the hospital? Every day you go in there, the front check-in desk and everything, they all got their masks on? No, they don't. And there's a very specific reason why they don't. So let's wait until to get into this call after we have question and answer first.
Woo, we got them fired up, folks. This is beautiful. So yeah, let's do that. If anyone has a question or a comment, please unmute yourself and ask away.
So Daniel was asking about
Sanj, welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And any questions or comments for Ron, if there's any questions you have related to any health, wellness, disease, those types of things, please ask away. And if not, then we'll definitely get into the mask topic, as we've heard that Ron has some stuff to share with us. So, any questions or comments? And I'm going to take this as
here.
Yes, please.
Okay, so basically, in regards to this, kind of comes up. It could be a cosmetic issue, but it comes up around the topic of dark circles around eyes and the link with the kidney organ, or is it linked with the liver? Like, you know, and generally when people are, you know, having really dark circles around their eyes, what is usually the cause of that? Is it really linked with the kidneys?
It's actually linked with the liver. And that's like the yellowing of the skin too, and the yellowing of the white part of the eyeball. All of that's related. Now, you from India and other people from other parts of the world, there are just genetics that will darken person's eyes way beyond the normal person. So
Okay.
that just because you got dark eyes does not mean you're sick. I mean,
Okay.
you know Sanj as well as I do, and Arvin, and we've all been to India, and we've seen all the dark eyes, and that's just a genetic trait of an Indian person from India. There are other countries that have even, believe it or not, worse than that. And I think it's either Afghanistan or Pakistan. They have very dark eyes. But it is related to the liver. When you truly have darkened eyes, sunken eyes, because your eyes are not only dark, but they're sunk.
Right.
That's a pretty bad liver problem.
Okay. And so if that is a liver problem, then what is the best protocol you would put somebody on? Which products and what type of a diet?
I would definitely just go with the enzymes, the probiotics, and the daily detox. The daily detox is meant to stimulate mucus that will help to eliminate bowels more quickly and easily. That's the only reason, with the exception of lack of enzymes and proper digestion, that's going to pollute not only your bloodstream, but your kidneys, your liver, and virtually just about all vital organs. Because eventually you're going to start to develop plaque and other substances that are just going to oxidize and accumulate in the vessels and in the organs of the body. So with the exception of the degeneration and digestive capability, what the heck was I just saying? It's always going to come back to the liver, but the daily detox, there's what I was going. So the daily detox helped to eliminate the things that would be backed up into your organs, liver, kidneys, or anything else. Because it's almost always going to be something that got in the bloodstream that can't be metabolized, or meaning it can't be cellularly used by the body. And if it circulates long enough, and it usually does, it will literally harden to a solid form through the oxidative process because of the oxygen-rich bloodstream that it circulates within.
Right.
So I'd always go to the digestive enzymes, probiotics, because they help microdigest, and then the daily detox. And
Now
nobody should have a toxic organ if they're actually eating 2-3 meals a day and you're having 2-3 bowel movements a day. I've never heard of anybody having a toxicity issue when they have good, proper digestion and, more importantly, proper elimination.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. And the other thing is, having your tonsils been removed at a younger age, would that have anything to do with any type of because that technically is also a it's a necessary in order to basically help help eliminate and help fight off bacteria and all this kind of stuff. And
right. Well, let me, because I can speak to this personally.
Sure.
I grew up thinking I was one of the dumbest people that ever walked this damn planet. It was because I had my tonsils in. Okay. And I got so behind in school, and I just got so behind in being able to attend school. I mean, I didn't even attend the half of the school year for my my 2 years of first grade, and my repeat is second going into the third grade. So by the time I was 13, I actually had my tonsils completely removed. Because grades 1 through 6, I missed probably 30 to 40% of the school year because of the Hong Kong flu, the swine flu, bronchitis, strep throat, every single thing that come along, summer or winter, didn't matter. I was sick as hell. And the day that I got my tonsils out, I'll bet you I haven't been sick more than probably 7 times in my entire life since the age of 13. So when you say they're a necessary part of preventing bacteria, viruses from getting in the body, yes, that's true. But think about this. What do? They collect on the tonsils. That's what prevents them to getting in there. So now you have all these throat problems because you got those organisms on your tonsils. So I am an advocate to say, get them out. If they create problems for you, get them out as early as you can, because there's not a surgeon around that will take out tonsils anymore over the age of 13. They call it a high-risk surgery, and I don't know why. I never had any of these problems or issues when I was a kid, but my nephew almost died from hemorrhaging because he had his tonsils removed. He was 17. And so now they consider anything over 12 years old a high-risk surgery when it comes to removing tonsils. Most doctors will not do it unless it's somehow life-threatening.
Wow.
So I'm just saying I'm a lot healthier. I never get sick. That's one of the reasons why I never get sick. But that goes back to the age of 13, not at age 30, or 33 when I actually started this business. I was no longer sick and sickly and everything. And, after I got out of high school, I started to go to medical school for about 3-4 weeks, maybe a couple months, but no longer than that. And I dropped out of that. And then when I moved down to Scottsdale, Arizona, I started hanging around with all these med students and stuff. And I actually had an IQ test. Before I went to Arizona, I actually had an IQ test just before I left. So this would have been back in 1984, because I went in November. And Actually, it was probably about 1982 because when I was still married to my first wife. But anyways, I had my test was administered by the government of the United States through the Bureau of Land Management. And I tested at a genius IQ, a lower level genius, but genius nonetheless. I have an IQ of 178. The smartest man in America ever tested for an IQ test scored 195. That's the smartest man ever tested in America through an official IQ test. So I'm only like 17 points away from being right up at the top smartest guy ever tested in America. So, and that's because I for years and years, I just thought I was stupid. Didn't even try to finish off high school and education. I just can't learn. I can't retain anything. I'm just too dumb. No, because I was so sick all the time. I never had a chance to even get into school to study.
Wow.
So that's my response about tonsils. You know, they're in there for a reason, but when they become a problem, take them out.
So it's pretty safe to do that. Okay, I was thinking that maybe my parents had
No.
made a mistake. Okay.
Yep, yeah, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking about having them out. Now all of a sudden, all these bacteria and viruses get through the throat and into the rest of the body. You're forgetting about one simple thing. The
Yeah.
immune system's there to take care of everything that gets by those tonsils.
Okay.
Anywhere where blood flows, you're going to find immune system cells.
Okay.
And your immune system cells have just as well, in fact, your immune system cells have more of a capability of protecting you from bacteria, viruses, germs, fungus, mold, whatever, than your tonsils ever will. They just trap it. So not as much gets in there, but what does get in there, what's your body use to take care of it? The immune system cells, T lymphocytes. You get a viral infected cell, he's already infected, he's starting to replicate with viral damage to it. Well, guess what? A T lymphocyte comes along and dissolves the whole cell, virus and all.
Right.
So that's why I've always focused on the immune system, because of that personal experience. And I went through that. It's like, why am I not sick anymore? Because I'm telling you, Sanj, I was told the same thing that you're trying to tell me when you first open up this well, you're going to get sick as hell all the time if you don't have your tonsils, because without your tonsils, there's nothing to catch the bacteria and the viruses and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I bought into that for a little bit until I was about 18, 20 years old as an athlete.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started learning about the immune system. Nope. There's a whole different system that takes care of all of that crap, regardless of whether it gets stopped at the tonsils or not. So that's why I've always focused on the immune system, because that is your savior from disease and illness, and that is your preventative disease and illness, and that is the single biggest determining factor of your overall health that you will live through day by day throughout your entire lifespan.
Okay, perfect. Very well. Thank you, and good to know.
Yeah. Good question, though. I haven't heard of that talked about in decades.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody?
Awesome.
Yeah, I got a question, Ron.
Yeah.
Look, my mother a couple of weeks ago had a mini stroke, and yeah, I mean, look, I guess to give you a bit of background with her, she's pretty healthy. You know, she exercises. You know, she's only very light build. She's very mobile. Is not on any medications except she's been on a heart medication.
Okay. What kind of a heart medication is it? What's the brand name? Do you know?
Well, when I say heart medication, it's actually a blood thing, and it's called Xarelto.
Right, Xarelto. It's the most aggressive blood thinner outside of warfarin, and what's the other one? Warfarin and doggone it, I can't just think of that doggone thing right now. No, it's not Plavix. Xarelto is the new blood thinner.
Okay.
Go back 10, 15, 20 years ago, they were using Coumadin. There you go, Coumadin. Coumadin is what's in rat poison. Believe it or not, it's what's in decon rat poison. And how rat poison works is the mouse eats the decon, and he literally thins the blood so thin that he starts bleeding from his claws and his eyeballs, and he literally bleeds out. That's how you kill mice and rats. And so all Xarelto is a new version of Coumadin. There's Plavix, there's Xarelto, there's Ozempic's a diabetic drug. What the heck's the other? There's 2 or 3 brand new ones. And then you're going to see the drug companies always cycle out new drugs every single 7 to 10 years because there's so many laws. Sorry about that. My people just don't realize Wednesday night's my time off here for this call. But anyways, so this is all new generation, and they're always coming out with new blood thinners. They try to say they're wider, they're safer, they're more targeted. No, they're not. They really aren't. The same old thing, just with a different label and a different look and a different marketing aspect. And they know to go to a different marketing strategy because of all the lawsuits they just got from the last generation of blood thinners and beta blockers and those kind of things. And that's why you constantly see all these different changes in medications. Not because something is discovered brand new. No, they figured out a different way to process it, so they needed a new name for it, and that's good for them because it's getting just like Lipitor, Crestor. You don't hear about any of those anymore. And you go back 10 years ago, Lipitor was the most prescribed drug out of a doctor's office worldwide. It's a statin drug. It inhibits cholesterol production by your body. And what do we know about cholesterol? You can't make vitamin D without LDL cholesterol. Your body can't do it. So if you're not taking a vitamin D3 supplement, you're not getting calcium to the body, which your body's severely acidic, which is an environment for deterioration and the development of cancer and a whole bunch of other diseases. So, I just don't see the place for drugs in mainstream health. I see it in emergency situations only. When I'm driving my Harley and I dump it, some semi hits me and I'm splitting it 2-3 pieces laying on a highway. That's when emergency care comes in. That's when a doctor and a good surgeon and great drugs come in. So I can hopefully be put back together, survive that whole traumatic event, and don't feel a thing in the process of it all. That's where that's where they're meant to be applied. They're trying to stay afloat as a medical entity and a hospitalization entity. They're trying to be profitable by applying all of these drugs to all these different disorders that can easily be dealt with diet and even good supplements. In fact, here's a fact that you can get as good or better result with dietary supplements or natural vitamins and herbs than most cases with your drugs, because there's not a drug in the market that doesn't inhibit the body's natural functioning processing capability. How are you going to ever rehabilitate yourself to a normal state of functioning when everything that you're trying to accomplish is being inhibited from working? It doesn't make sense. It's never made sense to me. But there is a place for medicine and there is a place for drugs. So, but Xarelto is just this new version blood thinner. I had a DVT clot in my left leg because I sit all the time. If I'm not sitting in an airplane, I'm sitting at a desk, I'm sitting at a microscope, sitting at my motorhome, driving all day long for a couple of days just to get to a blood screening event. And that's my life. I just sit. And we go back and forth to the lake, which is 172 miles one way. And we go back and forth at least 3 times a month. So there's another 500 miles every single month that I drive, more than that, almost 600 miles that I drive every single month. So I sit an awful lot. And it's when you're sitting in that chair position, that is the #1 cause of deep vein thrombosis, which is a clot. The clot is thrombin. And that buildup is called thrombosis. And literally I went in and it was the 23rd of December. It was literally 2-3 days before Christmas. And I remember it was on a Sunday. And we literally had to drive through a blizzard when all the roads were closed. But I literally was dragging my foot. I could not lift my foot, had no movement whatsoever. It was a solid cement rock from my groin all the way down to my foot. So I went into the emergency. I told her right before I even walked in, I said, I got a deep vein thrombosis clot. I want an MRI or ultrasound. I want to see how far it goes and how bad it is. And she goes, how do you know it's that? I said, trust me, I know this. I'm a pretty smart guy. So they went in, they did the ultrasound. Sure enough, it's a deep vein thrombosis clot. And even my doctor, Joy Hubert, took me aside afterwards and said, how do you know so much about the body? I mean, you know, usually you go through and have to go diagnosing and do an MRI to determine that. And I said, because I know my lifestyle and I know what causes DVT. I remember Tim Russell. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember him. He was a CNN newscaster. And he was the person that really brought deep vein thrombosis to the forefront of talking about on national television, not just some back room medical secret. And now you see, what's her name, the female race car, the one that's the GoDaddy spokesperson, Danica Patrick, or I think that's her name. And then there's another guy. They talk about this, and he's a NASCAR race car driver. And they talk about this, about preventing DVT clots, because that's all they do is sit and drive around that track all day long, week after week after week after week. And so whenever you're in a sitting position, whether you're a secretary, an attorney, I don't care who you are, if you're going to sit more than half of your day, you are going to become very susceptible to DVT, deep vein thrombosis. Tim Russell had just came from the Middle East from a story he did. So he was sitting on a 36 hours over, did the story, reported there, and was on his way back 36 hours later. That's 72 hours, never even moving. And he literally got back and he was doing this newscast and he literally slumped over his desk and he had a massive stroke because of a DVT clot right there on national television. I watched it. So that was my first experience with DVT as well. But Xarelto, getting back to the subject here, why would you ever take Xarelto to thin the blood? Because that has so many negative side effects. Do you know what I used to thin my blood? Because that's exactly what they wanted to prescribe to me for my DVT clot. Yeah. Oh, well, you get on Xarelto and stay on it the rest of your life. I said, like hell I do. And I went home and I got dedicated and serious about my own supplement line. And I've never had a stiffness, an ache, or any kind of hardness, any kind of immobility of my left leg ever since. I take enzymes every single meal and 3 every single night. And my wife, Samantha, brings them to me to make sure that I take them. They're sitting in front of me every time I eat, every night I go to bed. So God bless her, because I'll be honest with you, I'm so busy and so going 10 ways a Sunday every single day anymore. I would have never even thought or taken the time to take the stuff. But I don't have any problems with high blood pressure, DVT clots, or nothing. So take your enzymes to thin the blood. Take enough enzymes, you can thin the blood where you start bleeding from your gums, just like the rats. And I know because I used to do that. And the doctor, he looks at my teeth and stuff, and he says, boy, this is really weird. You don't look like you have any receding gums or anything. It doesn't look like you have any gum disease or anything, but boy, I can't see why you're bleeding. And I said, it's a story. I know why that's occurring. So you can thin the blood just as easily as you can with some drug that's going to inhibit your body's ability to function, or you can start taking extra enzymes in between meals and make sure you get enough every day. And you're going to get great nutrition, 500 to 700% increased nutritional value from amino acids. I mean, it just, all the positives are there and there's not one single negative. You're not going to have a stroke because you took a digestive enzyme. That I can guarantee you.
So Ron, I guess the challenge I have is I'm always concerned, of course, where she lives, I'm always concerned about the medical up there. And I said to her, because I said to her last week, I said, look, I mean, I'm concerned about your blood thinners and all that sort of thing. Anyway, she went back to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, well, look, get him to give me a call and have a chat about it, because he's also put her on aspirin. Right,
another blood thinner.
Yeah. So it's hard to try and get them to understand what we're doing here. That's the challenge.
Well, the challenge is, and I hate to say this, James, but I'm always a real straight talker. If people won't even give a crap enough to come on these calls to hear what we have to say, then I don't even want to bother with them. I just don't. There is a consequence for each and every single one of us that lives every day of our life because of the choices we make. And you always have a choice. Not making a choice is a choice. So if you're not going to get educated and understand your body and see what your choice and options are, then why do I give a crap? If you don't even care enough to even come on a phone call, it doesn't cost you anything.
Yeah. So,
And that's
Ron,
kind of where I'm at with everything. I mean, I make myself accessible. Everybody knows I'm going to be here every single Wednesday night unless I'm on my deathbed. But I make this time. So
yeah,
people like your mom and everybody else has an option source that they can go. But it's not just somebody saying, I'm going to educate you. And then I always encourage everybody, challenge me. Don't just believe it. Go out and try to prove me wrong. And when you go out and you get all this education and material trying to prove me wrong, you're going to say, wow, that guy's really smart. He's right. So, and it does take some driving and digging in. It does take some effort. But isn't your
yeah,
life worth it? Isn't your daily health and quality of life worth it? To me, I just had this conversation with my nephew and my wife just a few days ago. I don't want to live a life that there's no quality of life within the day that I'm living. When I cannot go out and enjoy and do what I want to do, I just soon go 6 feet under and be done with it. My life has always been about realizing the true optimum health that my genetics can afford me. And we can never be better or worse than what genetic programming we have, because you cannot change genetics once you're born. Not today, not yet. I think the day in the next 50 years is coming where you can become anything you want to and change your eyeball color.
yeah,
But we're not there yet.
yeah.
So that's what I'd encourage her to do. And then the other part of that is, why would you have a stroke? Is it because of blockage or is it because of a blood vessel bleed? Because either
Well,
one will cause a stroke.
yeah. Well, they couldn't find anything because she just sort of blinked out. She just
Right.
has a blank, and if she's done that's happened quite a few years ago. She just blanks out, and then she has a test. But they've done the scans. All they can determine is that she had a mini stroke.
Right.
And I guess it's getting the doctor to understand what we're trying to do here. Whether I can try and get this dude on the phone, like on the call, I mean, that would probably be the only chance I've got with him to get him to understand that, like there is a different way. But again, it's
Sure.
medical, and they're going down a track.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I can even use his own medical equipment. See if he'll try some enzymes sometime. Take that little oximeter and stick it up to your index finger, take 3 enzymes, and watch what happens to your blood. Literally as little as a half an hour. But I'd say to get the full effects, leave it in there and take it for an hour. Take one in 15 minutes, half an hour, and an hour. You're going to see that blood oxygen levels just start to go up and up and up. And if it starts to go down, then you've got a whole bunch of undigested crap in your GI tract and your stomach you haven't even begun to digest, because you're pouring all of that protein in the bloodstream in a real short period of time when you start taking my enzymes. And that will temporarily stick your blood cells together, which will actually lower your oxygen. But that's the one thing Joy was saying too. She says, my God, you don't have, and your mom and dad both died of heart issues, right? And I said, oh, I'm riddled, rampant with heart disease. You know that. And I've known her, she's a childhood acquaintance. I wouldn't call her a friend, but her mom used to shop in the store that I managed at Safeway, and her younger sister, Mel, used to ride around the cart, and her mom would not let anybody check her out other than me. I had probably about 45 people that'd come find me where I'm at. Okay, I'm ready to check out. Can you check me out? So that's the kind of relationship I've always had with the general public or people. Because they know I care about them. They know I'm going to take the time to do things accurate, to where there aren't things missing, left behind in a bag, you charge the wrong price, things of that nature. And boy, I just could never harp on that enough. And I got tired of trying to compromise and tell people why this is important. I just demanded it. Otherwise, you're fired. You can't follow what I'm following, then just don't bother being around here, because I'm building some kind of a different grocery store market.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, if he's willing to have a conversation, bring him on the call. And if not, take in 3 enzymes, say, here, do this, and then explain this. Because I've done that to a lot of medical doctors. And like I said, Joy, she just couldn't believe it. I was at 99.4% nascent oxygen level. She goes, how do you keep your oxygen up like that at your age? I said, it's easy. I said, but I don't want to waste your time and mine, because you couldn't do it with your patients anyway.
Yeah.
And that's always where I end up with the medical community. That's why I don't like dealing with them much at all. They see that what I can do is as good, if not better, than what they're doing. And that pisses them off. It threatens them. So they're ready to go file practicing medicine without a lawsuit. I've been threatened by that by at least 30 different doctors over the years, and I could tell you stories where I'm way more successful with my nutritional line of products than they ever were with their drugs. Women losing babies because of a blood clotting problem. And they got their drug that they put you on. I had a guy out in Wisconsin, and this was Stephanie and Andy, what the heck was the last? Johnson. So his wife, Stephanie, she's had problems with her pregnancies, every single one. They already had 4 kids. She got pregnant with a 5th, and it really got complicated. And then she says, I don't want to go through this. The side effects of that drug just almost kill me. And she says, I can't function. I can't remember. I can't even take care of my own family half the time, or even remember my name or where I'm at because of the side effects of that drug. So Andy came up and got trained on the microscope, and I said, well, look at here. If your problem is clotting, and you could see there was some clotting issues and stuff and some severe inflammation, I said, take these enzymes and the metabolic complete. So she did, and she went through a pregnancy, never had morning sickness, never even once had a pain of a clot, not one time through a whole pregnancy. And after about the second, somewhere in the middle of the second trimester, because Andy keep trying to show this doctor, hey, this really works. This is working. Don't you want to know? And he says, no. He said, I want to know. He says, well, I guess the story was he told Andy, he says, yeah, I'd like to talk to this guy, see how he's doing this. Well, I get a call at 7 o'clock in the morning, and this guy says, is this Ron Schneider? I said, yeah. And he says, you need to get Stephanie to take my drug. Otherwise, I'm going to file a practicing medicine without a license lawsuit against you. I said, Andy told me you were going to ask me how I was able. He said, no, I'm here to make sure that my patient is doing what I tell her and that I'm doing the best thing for her. And I said, well, you're not doing the best thing for her, and I don't care what your personal feelings are. That's just crap. And the best thing for her, leave her do what she's doing. She's doing just fine, isn't she? In fact, she doesn't even come into your office anymore. Nowhere near she likes. So you're losing money. That's why you're pissed off. So he and I got into it right off the bat. He wasn't the least bit interested in finding out what I was doing and how I was able to accomplish these results. And I can tell you at least 5,000 stories just like that one with different people in different parts of the world. It's pathetic, but that's the world we live in. So when me trying to cross over and convince a doctor, I'd rather not even talk to the, now I'm getting riled. So let's stop right there.
Okay. Thanks, Ron.
All right. Take care, buddy.
You too.
Anybody else have any last minute questions? Because I really want to get to this COVID mask thing. There's an awful lot here that everybody better learn real quick, or you're going to be in deep trouble with your health. So anybody got any last questions real quick? No? Okay.
Nope.
Well, what do you say we go and
start
talking about COVID protection?
Yeah, let's do it, Ron. I've had a lot of questions about that recently myself, in my personal life, social life, everywhere. So it's all over TV. You go into and I constantly forget my mask, right, when I go into a store, restaurant, etc. So yeah, please enlighten us.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, you accidentally forget it. I purposely don't take it. You'll never find me wearing a COVID mask. Never. I went and really, I talked to the manager at Costco because they wouldn't let me in the store without one. And I sit there and I brought him this just happened last week, by the way, so I'm really glad we're talking about this. I said, do you know that thing can asphyxiate you? That mask does the exact same thing when you sit there and hook a hose up to the tailpipe of your car, bring it into the window, roll up your windows and lock yourself in, and you're going to kill yourself from carbon monoxide poisoning. Well, guess what? Where that same restriction of elimination of air or the exhaust from your car, that's the exact same thing you do when you put on that mask. If it's small enough, I want everybody to think about this seriously, because this does get my butt riled up. Now they're trying to force you into disease and illness because of COVID. They're using COVID for a whole lot of crap, and it's not good. And Dr. Fauci, he knows this. Look at him last time he's talking. Looking all over on national television. When's he ever worn his mask in the last 2-3 months? I think maybe twice. Twice. It's the only time I've ever seen them. And look at Congress when they're on the floor of Congress. Look at all the people. Democrats are wearing it like crazy, and all the Republicans don't. Most people that come in and testify on Republican half don't. Oh, well, you must be a Trump supporter. No, I'm just smarter than your ignorant, stupid butt. That's what I am. And the first thing I'm going to tell everybody is that mask, if it's truly, and by the way, they're not, all those little light blue masks you see everybody wearing, they're not micro mesh. So therefore, they can't stop a virus from entering or leaving. And Dr. Balchi should know that. The only one that's actually micro mesh is the one they use in the ICU unit. Look at when you go into the hospital. Look at the front desk. Look at all the people walking up and down the aisles and stuff. Even now, in the day of COVID-19, how many of those people in that hospital are wearing masks? Over half of them aren't. And there's a reason for that, because they know about the asphyxiation possibility. And doctors, they take it into an operating room. That's why I said in emergency or ICU. But they use it so that they're not breathing out stuff. But they can tolerate that for a couple of hours, not days on end or weeks on end. And they're only talking about a few hours. And then that comes off. But even they will regulate their surgical schedule and stuff to where they get time away from that mask. And that mask they wear truly is a micro mesh. It will actually prevent bacteria and viruses from being breathed out from a person. And the reason why a doctor wears a mask, it's to protect him, not to protect you. Because he doesn't know who you are. He has no idea what kind of disease, illness, or airborne microbials you might have. None. So he wears it for his own personal protection. And everybody else is saying, oh, well, you need to wear it because you might be able to infect somebody else. Well, they're absolutely correct, because that mask is not a microbial mask. So you can breathe viruses right out of it. But what it does, it restricts oxygen. And they got a name for a certain condition that talks about breathing and blood flow and oxygen and things like that. And you will asphyxiate yourself. You wear that thing long enough, day after day, all day long. And I know the people that actually have worn them on a regular basis, look how hard you're breathing. Look how misty your face gets. And you even get a little bit dizzy after a while. You'll notice that you're not all energetic and aware. You start to kind of become slow and a little muddled. Well, that's because of carbon monoxide poisoning. You're breathing in about half of the carbon monoxide your body's trying to exhale with every breath. So, yeah, it's just crazy, crazy stuff. But there's everybody around that uses it. They take their mask off. The media's all over Trump because he never wears a mask. He's aware of it. Bill Barr is aware of it. Most people in politics are aware of it because science already proven it. And Sanj had a great article that he sent to me about it. And I said, I've already known this for at least 15, 20 years. Wearing a mask is one of the worst things you can do for your health, because it'll actually create cortisol, increase your cortisol levels, which dramatically increases your stress levels. And there's no part of the human body that functions efficiently in a stressed environment of the human body. Tremendous inflammation slows everything down. So now you're deteriorating your overall health. You're not just poisoning your lungs with carbon monoxide you can't get rid of because that mask's in the way. So yeah, this is just craziness. And I hope Sanj or Dover, whoever sent me that thing about the mask, hopefully you'll get that posted up here on this call where people could actually go in there and learn a lot more about it. It's about 25 minutes, 30 minutes long, but I don't need to go into the depths it goes into. One simple thing everybody can relate to. If you can't get rid of carbon monoxide from your breathing or from your tailpipe of your automobile, CO2, no difference between what we exhale and what we're getting out of that. It's a toxic gas is what it is. And we all know how to kill yourself. Start up your car, put your tailpipe through a hose into a window, roll everything up and tape off the the pipe so no air gets out. In about 2-3 hours, you'll just fall asleep and you'll be dead from carbon monoxide poisoning. So, yeah, it's just not good. I mean, you can actually have brain damage.
Hey, Ron.
And all kinds of things going on. Yeah.
So I sent you that video, and it was about 4 minutes long. Do you mind if I play it on this call or no?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I thought it was a lot longer than that.
No, it was, well, I sent you a few things, but this one was only 4 minutes.
Okay.
So let me cue that up.
Yeah, everybody needs to
And,
hear this from other than me. But you'll see what I'm talking about. And absolutely, I completely agree 100% with what he said. And I'm like, this is something everybody should see. Because wearing that stupid mask should be a choice. Should be a choice. And if I have the choice, there's no way in heck I'm going to do that. And like I said, I made the manager of Costco in Billings, Montana, come out to the floor, and I says, "You make me wear this, and I'm going to sue this store." There's enough things that says this will cause harm to my body, and if you force me to wear it in here in a public place of business, I will sue you. Guess what? I didn't have to wear the mask.
Wow.
So everybody really needs to get educated about this. This is one thing I'm really passionate about, as well as ticked off about. It's one thing to sit there and try to prevent disease and illness in your own home.
I can't really believe that so many people are still working the old way, selling time to a boss every day to get a salary. How many people have actually seen President Trump wear a mask? How many people?
Ron, are you still there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You stopped, so I was just making sure. All right.
Nope.
So
I'm waiting for you to play the video.
Before we go there, I want to show Sanj sent a video that there's some humor to it, but there's really not. So I want to share that too. So let me just cue that up and share that with everyone. And then we'll do the mask. It'll take us about 5 minutes total. 1 second. All right, so America must unite. Cameras off, question mark, good, I can take this mask off. So this is a video of Fauci. All right, so was everyone able to see that?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
was everybody able to hear that? Cameras are off?
Yeah,
Okay,
there was
I'll
not.
remove my mask. So this is all a stage show for media and TV.
I don't have any Zoom. I'm only listening to the audio. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, okay, so the video was Fauci at one of the press conferences or some hearing, and basically he took his mask off, like, oh my gosh, I can't breathe. Thank goodness I can take this mask off. And he stood there for about 45, 50 seconds. So that was that video. And the next one, Joe, you'll be able to hear because there's some volume.
So would it be too much if I could? Would it be too much if I could ask you? I mean, I don't want to interrupt this call and people. If I give you my number, you can send them to me because I don't wear a mask anywhere I go, and I agree with Ron, and I get a lot of slack. And I would like to discuss this also with Ron, but I would like to later. But I would like to have those videos if at all possible.
Yeah, Joe, that's fine. Let me check real quick, make sure. Let me see if I have your number. And if not, then I'll get it from you.
It's the 852-9922 if it comes up on the call.
Yeah, we have it blocked out, so not everyone sees it. All right, I got your number. I'll send those to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mask and Fauci. All right, so I'm gonna play this other video. It's about 4 minutes, 4.5 minutes, and it's specifically related to the topic of masks. So hang on 1 second here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. All right, here we go. Let me just double check here. Optimize, good. Yes. All right, here we go.
How many people have actually seen President Trump wear a mask? How many people have seen some of the leaders that have been talking wearing a mask? Ask the question, why? We breathe oxygen. We need oxygen. We breathe out carbon dioxide. How long would an animal or a human last by just breathing carbon dioxide? Not very long. We need oxygen within 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, things start to shut off. When you're wearing a mask, you are inducing a hypoxic injury, a pseudohypoxia. There are studies have been done. The point being that when you wear a mask, you are restricting airflow. You are also breathing in more carbon dioxide. So you're creating a pseudohypoxic state. But more than that, you're also creating stress because your body is now having to suck oxygen through something that's obstructing the airway. In medicine and trauma, we're taught 3 things. When in doubt, go back to your ABCs. Everything's about ABCs. ABC stands for airway, breathing, circulation. And notice airway and breathing, all to do with our ability to respire, our ability to oxygenate. When you're wearing a mask, you're reducing your ability to oxygenate. You're also, because you're throwing your body into that chronic stress, because you're sucking oxygen, you have to suck oxygen through this mask, you're increasing your cortisol levels, which is your stress hormone. Cortisol going up suppresses your immune system. You get into what they call a sympathetomimetic drive. You're driving it further and faster. This is a flight-fight response. This is like having your car in park and stepping on the accelerator. That's what you're doing to your body. So you are throwing your body into an overdrive situation of stress that is now going to create a cascade, a domino effect. Because when your body is stressed, guess what happens? You need more oxygen. If a bear was chasing you, would you be breathing harder? And now you've got something covering your mouth. You think that that's going to create a problem with you to breathe? This is the reason I feel this unexplainable need to tell people, even though they're all around me wearing masks, I just feel like I have to correct them. Not because I'm trying to push an agenda, I just don't want people to be hurt. So this information is important for people to understand. And there's an entire cascade of events that continues from this process forward. Wearing masks has never been established, ever been established to prevent disease. There's no scientific literature for that. When a surgeon wears a mask, it's to prevent the surgeon from spitting, drooling, coughing, sneezing into that sterile surgical field. That's why we wear masks, to protect the patient, to protect the sterile field. When people in the Far East wear a mask, they're doing it so that nobody else gets sick from something that they may be carrying. How many people have actually seen President Trump wear a mask? How many people have seen some of the leaders that have been talking wearing a mask? Well, Dr. Fauci hasn't worn a mask until recently, and then when you saw him wearing the mask, they showed like a bunch of still slides, and he's like this, fidgeting, and they're doing everything else. My point is, again, ask the question, why? The issue at hand is separating us. They have always separated us. We have always been separated based upon our differences of our ethnicity, our creed, our nationality, our religions, our political agendas, our political belief systems, our color of our skin. They have divided us. It's time to forget about that division and understand what brings us together. If you can answer that question, why, for any of these things that are happening, and you can justify it, then fine, then go along with it. But the question, if why, if it's not answerable, if something inside you says something doesn't smell right, if your intuition, your gut feeling, your sixth sense, this is all God speaking to you. Do you understand that? Your sixth sense, that gut feeling, the gestalt that we have, that is the Creator communicating with us. It's the source of everything. It's a universal consciousness. I don't care what you call it. It is the same thing that's communicating with us, telling us, beware, something is not right. Ask the question, why?
Well,
Okay, so Ron, I want to pass it back to you. I was talking and didn't realize I was on mute. But there's one thing I want to share with you all, and I was doing a little bit of homework here, and I could be totally off. However, if you do a little research on the guy that was just speaking, as a kid, he was the individual that invented the email system. So I know he's not as talented as Ron, at least in my own opinion, and in the areas that we were talking about, but he's obviously a smart guy and common sense guy too, so he's equally yoked. But I thought that was interesting. So,
Yeah,
Ron, I'll pass it back to you and share it with us.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better than he did. Leave the politics out and stuff of what divides us. This has, in my opinion, for where I come from, has nothing to do with that. But it is important that people know the facts about wearing a mask. It can kill you. Carbon dioxide is not going to magically disappear. And like I said, if you're truly wearing a mask that's small enough to be a microbial mask, to catch substances as small as a virus, there's no way carbon dioxide or even oxygen is going to come through that mask. You're going to be huffing and puffing out the sides of that mask left and right within about 10, 15 minutes of wearing one. And carbon dioxide is a real killer. I should have distinguished carbon monoxide, which comes out the tailpipe, and carbon dioxide, which comes out your lungs as a waste product after oxygen is used. But there's no joke about this, and I'm dead serious about it. I would not encourage anybody to wear a mask unless you had an old person in the room like grandma and grandpa. There might be a little bit of justification in that, but I'd only wear it when they're at the dinner table, when you're directly within 5-6 feet of them. But if you really think about it, they're in the same household. You're going to eventually come across each other without that mask. And whether you're within 6 feet, you're touching the same surfaces, using the same faucet, doing the same kitchen, same table, same dinner. It's just unavoidable. So the smart thing to do is take your enzymes, keep your blood oxygenated. Don't worry so much about the mask. Build up your doggone immune system. We know we can make a Hercules immune system in anybody. We've done all the research to prove all of that. We've even got numbers to support it behind it. So I just don't get, and it's so sad because I just had a conversation with a gal who was talking to Linda Sirica out in Chicago, and she's a networker just getting into a business of some kind of a frequency machine or something. But real intelligent gal. She really cares about people. That's the big thing. Her and I connected on that. I could just tell she was really passionate, but she was passionate because she cares for others. But like I told her, she goes, I started telling her about a little bit more about enzymes and the blood screenings and all that stuff. And why in the heck don't people know about you? How come I had to go to some gal that's kind of like a chiropractor to even hear about you? I said, because I can't get on the big social media influencers somewhere. That's why you don't hear about me. If the world knew what I had, the whole world would be buying us and we'd be a multi-billion-dollar company. but that's what Dover and I and Roger were trying to figure out a way to get our name out there. Because she just says, that blows me away. She goes, I'll start buying all your products. I didn't, Linda just went into a couple. And I said, well, here's some facts. And I started talking about the 10% loss every decade you live from birth to death and this and that. And she got it real fast. Like I said, she's a pretty educated person. So why aren't more people out there aware of this company? I don't know. We're doing everything that we can do, as far as I know. So, but the mask is no joke, people. I mean, seriously. If you want to wear it, go ahead and wear it, but understand what you're doing to your body by wearing it for extensive periods of time. And when I say that, I'm talking more than 3 to 5 minutes out of whack. Nobody should be walking around all day long with these things on and all that other kind of stuff. It's just crazy. But on the flip side of that, those little blue masks, they can't stop a virus. They're not micro mesh masks. So you're probably not going to have near as hard of a breathing problem with those as you would with a true micro mesh or microbial mask. Because they're a lot more porous than that. So they really aren't doing anybody any good. You know, for a painter mask and stop the paint fumes and the paint splatter from getting in your face and up your nose and stuff, that's fine. But you notice you don't get rid of the fumes, the gases and stuff. So that's my 2 cents. But it's a serious conversation that everybody needs to have and leave politics the hell out of it.
That's right. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate that. All right. Anyone have a last second question or comment before we wrap up the call? Okay, great stuff. Again, you know, something rang loud and clear to me. I don't know if anyone's on the call is from Missouri, you know, the Show Me State, but Ron said something that was hit me, which is don't trust him, right? Do your due diligence, do your homework, and see what conclusion you come to. And I love that about him because I know he's well researched, well versed, but he doesn't want any of us to trust him. He wants us to get educated. Now we become informed, empowered, and then we can make educated decisions. So with that, Ron, I want to say thank you. It's been a great call. Appreciate your pouring into us, and as you do each and every week. So
absolutely.
Have a great night, buddy.
All right.
We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All righty. Bye-bye.